5 people you must avoid in old age. As we grow older, life becomes less about rushing to achieve and more about cherishing moments of peace, connection, and self-care. For seniors, especially those aged 65 and beyond, maintaining emotional well-being is essential. One of the most important ways to protect your mental and emotional health is by carefully choosing the people you allow into your life. Unfortunately, not everyone contributed positively to your golden years. Some individuals may even have a negative impact. Here are 5 types of people you should avoid in old age, even if they are family members. Protecting your peace is not an act of selfishness. It is a necessary expression of self-love. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. 1. The manipulator. As we age, the value of peace and emotional balance becomes immeasurable. Yet, manipulators often hide behind the guise of needing help or affection, which can disrupt that tranquility. Their actions may not seem harmful at first. In fact, they might appear to lean on you out of genuine need. They know exactly how to appeal to your nurturing instincts, especially if you've spent your life being a pillar of support for others. However, over time, their reliance can evolve into something toxic, leaving you drained and emotionally depleted. Imagine this. You are enjoying a quiet afternoon, sipping your coffee and reflecting on the beauty of a well-lived life, when suddenly the phone rings. It's a relative or friend who needs just one more favor, perhaps a ride or help with an errand they could easily handle themselves. At first, you oblige, thinking it's a small sacrifice. But as these requests pile up, you begin to notice a pattern. They only call when they need something, and if you don't help, they subtly imply that you are selfish or neglectful. This is the hallmark of the manipulator, someone who uses guilt as a weapon, turning your kindness into an obligation by framing their needs as emergencies. This tactic makes it difficult for you to say no without feeling like you have failed them. Over time, this dynamic chips away at your sense of freedom and autonomy. Instead of enjoying your retirement, you find yourself weighed down by the emotional labor of maintaining a one-sided relationship. Recognizing this pattern is crucial. Manipulators often count on your hesitation to confront them because they know you value harmony and do not want to hurt their feelings. Yet, it is important to remember that saying no is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-preservation. Your time, energy, and emotional well-being are precious commodities that deserve protection. Setting clear boundaries is the antidote to manipulation. When you begin to define what you will and will not do, you reclaim control over your life. For example, if someone frequently asks for favors, consider responding with something like, "I'm sorry, but I'm unable to help this time." You do not need to explain or justify your decision. Your boundaries are valid simply because they protect your peace. It is also helpful to reflect on the nature of the relationship. Ask yourself whether this person enriches your life or simply takes more than they give. True relationships are built on mutual respect and care, not on a sense of obligation. If someone's presence consistently leaves you feeling drained or resentful, it may be time to reevaluate their role in your life. As you navigate this stage of life, let go of the fear of disappointing others. Remember that your kindness is a gift, not a resource to be exploited. By surrounding yourself with people who respect and value you, you create an environment in which your golden years can truly shine. Saying no to a manipulator is, in essence, saying yes to your own well-being, and that is a decision worth making every single time. 2. The self-absorbed. Life in our later years is meant to be a time of reflection, connection, and meaningful relationships. However, not all connections nourish the soul. Some individuals seem incapable of seeing beyond themselves, consumed by their own needs, desires, and achievements. These self-absorbed individuals, often described as narcissists, can drain the joy and mutual respect from any relationship, leaving you feeling invisible and undervalued. Imagine sitting down with a family member or friend to share a cherished memory from your past, a story that still brings a smile to your face. As you begin to speak, they interrupt, steering the conversation toward their own experiences. You try again, hoping to share a meaningful moment, but once more, they shift the focus back to themselves. Over time, a pattern emerges. They dominate every conversation, turning what should be an exchange into a one-person performance. Narcissists are masters of this dynamic. They crave attention and validation, often at the expense of those around them. Their behavior may not be intentionally harmful, and they might not even realize how their actions affect others, but the result is the same. Their presence can feel overwhelming, and your voice seems to disappear in their shadow. For seniors, this type of relationship can be particularly painful. Having lived a life full of rich experiences, you deserve to share your stories, wisdom, and emotions with people who truly listen and care. However, a narcissist offers little room for genuine connection. Instead, they prioritize their own narrative, making you feel as though your presence is merely a backdrop to their life. Recognizing this behavior is the first step toward protecting your emotional well-being. Narcissists often use charm and charisma to draw people in, making it easy to overlook their self-centered tendencies at first. However, over time, their inability to offer empathy or genuine support becomes evident. They may dismiss your achievements, minimize your struggles, or ignore your needs altogether, all while expecting you to celebrate and cater to theirs. The key to managing relationships with self-absorbed individuals is setting boundaries. This does not necessarily mean cutting them out of your life entirely, though in some cases that may be necessary, but rather limiting their ability to dominate your time and energy. For instance, if a narcissist consistently redirects conversations, try gently steering them back by saying, "I'd like to finish what I was saying." If they dismiss your feelings, calmly assert your perspective. "I hear what you're saying, but this moment is important to me." It is also crucial to remember that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth. Narcissists often lack the capacity to truly see others, but that does not diminish the value of what you bring to the table. Surround yourself with people who uplift and celebrate you, friends, family, or community members who are genuinely interested in your thoughts and experiences. These are the relationships that will nourish your soul and make your golden years truly fulfilling. Letting go of the need to please a narcissist can be liberating. It allows you to focus on relationships that truly matter, ones built on respect, empathy, and mutual care. Life is too precious, especially in this stage, to waste on one-sided connections. By prioritizing those who see and value you for who you are, you create a circle of support that reflects the richness and beauty of your journey. In these moments of clarity, remember this: your stories matter, your feelings matter, and you matter. Do not let anyone diminish that truth, not even the most self-absorbed person in your life. By valuing yourself, you set the standard for how others should treat you, and that is the foundation of a life well lived. 3. The critic. In the later chapters of life, one of the most valuable treasures is the freedom to live authentically, embracing who you are and what you have accomplished. Yet critics, those who constantly find fault in others, can rob you of this freedom, sowing seeds of doubt and negativity. These individuals thrive on pointing out flaws, often under the guise of helpfulness, but their words can wound deeply, eroding self-esteem and creating a sense of inadequacy. Critics come in many forms. It could be a friend who always has something to say about your appearance, a family member who questions your decisions, or even a neighbor who never misses a chance to point out what you could do better. Their criticisms may seem small in isolation. A remark about your choice of clothes, a comment on how you spend your time. But over time, they accumulate, creating an environment of constant judgment. What makes their words particularly damaging is that they often reflect their own insecurities rather than any real fault of yours. Critics tend to project their frustrations and fears onto others, finding satisfaction in pointing out what's wrong as a way to avoid confronting their own imperfections. However, knowing this does not always soften the sting. After a lifetime of hard work, love, and perseverance, no one deserves to feel as though they are falling short. It is important to recognize that you are not defined by the opinions of others. The critic's voice, no matter how persistent, is just that, a voice. It does not have to be the truth, and it certainly does not have to shape how you see yourself. After all, you have lived through triumphs and challenges, joys and losses, and those experiences have made you who you are. That is something no one can diminish. One of the most empowering steps you can take when dealing with critics is to filter their words. Not every piece of feedback is worth your attention. Ask yourself, is this criticism constructive? Does it come from a place of care and respect? If the answer is no, let it go. Their negativity is not your burden to carry. For example, if someone constantly critiques your choices, whether it's how you spend your retirement or the hobbies you enjoy, you might respond with calm confidence. I appreciate your concern, but I'm happy with how I'm living my life. This simple statement reaffirms your autonomy while subtly setting a boundary. Another powerful tool is to shift the focus of the conversation. Critics often thrive on negativity, so redirecting the dialogue to something positive can neutralize their impact. For instance, if a family member points out what they see as a mistake, you might counter with, "That's one perspective, but I'm proud of what I've accomplished." By steering the discussion toward your strengths, you remind both them and yourself of your worth. Surrounding yourself with supportive people is equally vital. Seek out relationships that celebrate your achievements and uplift your spirit. These are the connections that will remind you of your value and help drown out the voices of criticism. Whether it's a friend who shares your hobbies, a group at your local community center, or a trusted confidant, these positive influences are like sunlight breaking through clouds. They make everything brighter. Remember, critics have no power over you unless you give it to them. Their opinions are just that, opinions. They do not define your worth, your achievements, or your happiness. You have earned the right to live without the weight of their judgment, to embrace the life you have built with pride and joy. As you reflect on your journey, hold on to this truth. You are enough. You always have been. No critic, no matter how loud or persistent, can take that away from you. By letting go of their negativity and choosing to focus on the beauty of your own story, you free yourself to live with the confidence and peace you deserve. Life is too precious to spend worrying about the opinions of others. Instead, cherish the moments that bring you joy and the people who truly see and appreciate you for who you are. 4. The irresponsible. In the golden years of life, when the weight of past responsibilities begins to ease, the last thing you need is to bear the burdens of those who refuse to carry their own. Irresponsible individuals, whether they are family members, friends, or acquaintances, have a way of pulling you into their chaos, leaving you emotionally and even financially drained. Their lack of accountability can become a relentless source of frustration, disrupting the peace and balance you've worked so hard to achieve. Picture this: a family member constantly finds themselves in trouble, be it financial woes, poor decisions, or personal conflicts. Time and again, they come to you for help, expecting you to bail them out or offer a solution. They promise change, assuring you that this time will be different. Yet, the cycle repeats, leaving you exhausted and questioning whether your support is truly helping or simply enabling their behavior. Irresponsibility isn't just about neglecting duties. It's about shifting the consequences of one's actions onto others. These individuals often rely on your goodwill and generosity, knowing you have a kind heart. They may appeal to your sense of duty, especially if they are younger relatives or people you've cared for in the past. But over time, their reliance can feel more like exploitation, leaving you carrying a load that isn't yours to bear. It is important to understand that while compassion and kindness are virtues, they must be balanced with self-respect and discernment. Helping someone who refuses to take responsibility for their actions doesn't just drain your energy, it also prevents them from learning and growing. Accountability is a skill, one that can only be developed when a person is allowed to face the consequences of their choices. By constantly stepping in to rescue them, you deny them the opportunity to mature and take charge of their own life. Setting boundaries with irresponsible individuals is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of love, both for yourself and for them. Begin by recognizing your limits and understanding that you are not obligated to solve problems that aren't yours. If someone consistently asks for financial help, for example, consider responding with, "I'm sorry, but I'm not in a position to assist with this. Perhaps you can explore other options." This response not only protects your resources, but also encourages them to take ownership of their situation. Equally important is resisting the urge to feel guilty for saying no. Irresponsible people often use guilt as a tactic, suggesting that your refusal to help means you don't care. But the truth is, your care can manifest in healthier ways. Offering advice, providing emotional support, or simply being present without taking on their burdens. Your role is not to fix their lives, but to guide them toward finding their own solutions. As you navigate these relationships, remember to prioritize your own well-being. Your golden years are a time for joy, exploration, and self-care, not for carrying the weight of others' choices. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and appreciate the support you are able to offer. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding, not on one-sided dependence. Reflect on the life you've lived and the lessons you've learned. You have faced challenges, made sacrifices, and overcome obstacles to arrive at this stage. Don't let the irresponsibility of others overshadow the peace you've earned. By setting clear limits and focusing on your own needs, you create a space where both you and those around you can truly thrive. Letting go of the need to rescue others is not selfish. It is a recognition of your worth and the value of your time. Embrace this truth. You are not responsible for fixing everything. By stepping back, you allow the irresponsible to step up. And in doing so, you reclaim your peace, your energy, and your freedom. 5. Ungrateful people. As we get older, one of the greatest joys in life is giving, whether it's time, wisdom, or simply the love we've cultivated over decades. There's a deep satisfaction in knowing that our efforts and sacrifices have made someone's life a little better. But nothing hurts more than the cold silence of ingratitude. When kindness goes unnoticed, or worse, criticized, it can leave you feeling belittled, discouraged, and even doubting your own worth. Ungrateful people have a way of sapping the joy of giving. Imagine spending hours preparing a holiday meal for your family, pouring love into every dish, only to hear someone complain that it doesn't taste as good as it used to. Or perhaps you've gone out of your way to help a friend, rearranging your day to accommodate their needs, only to be met with indifference, as if your efforts were expected rather than appreciated. What makes ingratitude so painful is not just the lack of recognition, but the message it sends. It tells you that your time, energy, and attention are not valued. Over time, this lack of appreciation can weigh heavily on your heart, turning what should be joyful moments of connection into painful reminders of being taken for granted. But here's an important truth. Other people's ingratitude is not a reflection of your worth. Their failure to acknowledge your efforts speaks to their own shortcomings, not the value of what you bring. You deserve to be surrounded by people who see and appreciate the love and generosity you bring to the world. Dealing with ungrateful people. Dealing with ungrateful people requires both self-awareness and courage. Start by acknowledging your own feelings, allowing yourself to recognize the pain and disappointment without brushing them aside. It's normal to feel disappointed when someone doesn't appreciate you. Those feelings are real. But what's even more important is how you choose to respond. An important step is to reassess relationships where ungratefulness is a recurring theme. Ask yourself, does this person add value to my life? Do they respect me and what I do for them? If the answer is no, it may be time to set boundaries. This doesn't necessarily mean cutting them out of your life, but it does mean limiting the time and energy you're willing to devote to them. For example, if a family member consistently fails to appreciate your efforts, consider scaling back. Instead of trying to meet their needs, focus on what brings you joy and fulfillment. If they question your change in behavior, you can calmly explain, I've realized that I need to focus on the things that make me happy. I hope you can understand. This isn't about punishing them, but about protecting yourself. Redirect your energy. Another essential step is to redirect your energy toward people who truly value you. Spend time with friends, neighbors, or community members who respond to your kindness with gratitude and warmth. These are the people who will lift your spirits and remind you of the beauty of giving. Their appreciation will nourish your soul, making every act of kindness worthwhile. It's also helpful to reflect on why you give in the first place. True generosity doesn't come from a need for recognition. It comes from a place of love and care. By focusing on the joy you feel when you give, rather than the response you receive, you can find peace even in the face of ingratitude. However, this doesn't mean accepting disrespect or exploitation. Your kindness is a gift, not an entitlement, and it should be treated as such. Honor your own worth. As you move forward, take a moment to celebrate your own efforts. Recognize the love, care, and thoughtfulness you put into everything you do, whether others acknowledge it or not. These acts of kindness reflect your inner strength and beauty. By valuing yourself and your contributions, you set the standard for how others should treat you. Ingratitude may hurt, but it doesn't define you. What defines you is the love you give, the lives you touch, and the legacy of kindness you leave behind. By choosing to focus on those who appreciate you, and setting boundaries with those who don't, you'll regain your joy and ensure that your golden years are filled with the respect and appreciation you deserve. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's necessary.